Hey guys, this is Carrie, and in the last video we made this party background thing. I think something that could be really cool is I'd like to introduce you to another HTML element. So it's been like, I don't know, like 8 months or something now that we've been learning coding, and we basically learned all of these HTML elements in like the first week of school, and we haven't done like any new ones since. I'd like to introduce you to a new one that's kind of fun to mix with the set interval loop, and we can draw some more stuff on our page. So here we go. I'm going to make a new REPL. So I'll just click there, new REPL. And I'm going to call this circle craziness. So the element that I'm going to be introducing you to in this video, sorry, this is a brand new web page with blank HTML, blank CSS, blank JavaScript. The element I'm going to be introducing you to is called the canvas. So to do this, we're going to add a canvas to our page, and we're going to close canvas up. So canvas is really useful for when we want to have something with that draws on our page. So you could have the user draw on our page by clicking and dragging. That's something that we might learn how to program at another time. But what we're going to have here is we're going to have it so that the JavaScript actually makes it so that it automatically draws shapes on our page, which I think could be really cool. All right, so this canvas, let's look it up on, I don't know, W3. I think that's the name of the website that we usually use, W3 Schools. All right, so canvas element. So the way that we're going to do it is we're going to build our canvas, and we're going to create a width and a height, and these are numbers in pixels that describe the width and the height. So this is too small, 200 and 100. I'm going to make it much larger than that, and maybe we'll edit it. So the width will be, I don't know, 1,000, and the height will be 800. That's going to be my first guess. And oh my gosh, guys, look at that. I added it to the JavaScript. That's not right at all. So cut this out and add that to the canvas. Okay, so our canvas now has that width and height. So basically it's like having a blank canvas that we can paint on that has those dimensions. In order to help us see this on the page, I'm going to select the canvas using CSS, and I'll add a 2-pixel border to it that's solid and black. This should help us see the dimensions of our canvas. Okay, that's a little big. All right, so maybe 800 by 600. Why does that look like it's like the same dimensions? All right, let me just make it 800 by... Oh, it's just taking some time to update, sorry. So now it's 800 by 200. If I refresh again, this is 800 by 600. I actually really like this one. I'm also going to center this, so I'm just going to do, let's see if a margin auto works here to center it. Nope. So maybe we'll have to do a display block. There we go. Okay, so we've got our canvas centered, and you can imagine painting on this if you're a painter or something. Maybe to make it a little bit more distinct, I'll select the body, and I'll make the background of the body equal to something like lavender, and I'll make the background of the canvas still white. All right, cool. So this is looking a little better. All right, I like this. I could go crazy with the styling here, but I think it's time for us to do the JavaScript. So we're going to start the JavaScript off the same way that we always do. Select the elements on the page that we're going to interact with. So in this case, I'm going to be interacting with the canvas element. So let's let canvas equal document.querySelector canvas. And we don't have to use the ID or class because it's the only canvas on the page. We'll just select it using its element type. All right, now I'm going to create a set interval that will draw on the canvas. Well, maybe let's actually just look at drawing on the canvas before we make the set interval. So I actually have to Google this because I always forget this. How to draw on canvas JavaScript W3. All right, canvas drawing, sweet. All right, so the main things that we want to grab from this are we want to grab this. So canvas is equal to that, we already did. To draw on it, we have to do something called canvas.getContext. And the only context I've ever worked with here is the 2D context. So let's let CTX context equal canvas.getContext 2D. You'll notice that my code is looking very similar to their code. But instead of using var here, var is kind of like an old version of let. It's just declaring a variable. And the newer versions of JavaScript declare variables using let and const, but we haven't looked at that, so just let. All right, so now to draw a shape on the canvas, let's see what this says. I'm just going to copy and paste these two. And this is a color, so instead of making it a weird color like that, let's just make the color blue. And we'll fill a rectangle. Let's just see what this does. All right, so it looks like what this does is we set the fill style to be this color, and then we draw a rectangle that goes from 0 on the x. And this is weird. With the canvas, 0, 0 is not in the center. 0, 0 is actually up here. And for the canvas, we go positive x direction here. So this would be x equals the width of our canvas, which was 800. So 0 to 800 for x horizontally. And then weirdly, the y-axis doesn't go up in the canvas. The y-axis goes down, so it would be 0 to positive 600 all the way down here. So let me just see if I can get a feel for this. Let me just make this 600. So that goes 0 to 600. It looks like these are the y values. And these are the x values. So if I do 0 to 800 here, it will do the whole thing, I think. Yes. So I have to refresh it a couple of times in order to get its update. All right, cool. So that's how I draw on the canvas. Maybe it would be more interesting, though, to draw a circle on the canvas with JavaScript. All right, so let's see. Oh, here we go. How to create a circle. I kind of want to fill the circle, so I'm going to try to mix these two and let's see if we can get it right. So it looks like what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do this. And then maybe, I don't know how this is going to work. Let's see, so I'm going to delete this, which that seemed to be the rectangle. All right, so we do ctx.beginPath. We're going to go, what do these numbers mean here for an arc? The numbers are the x and y coordinates of the center. So the center here is going to be 100 in the x direction, and then 75 in the y direction. And even though this looks like negative 75, in our canvas it's 100 and then positive 75. The radius is going to be 50. And then to get the whole circle, we're using radians here, as you might remember from Algebra 2 trig, which is 0 to 2 pi, and that's 360 degrees. So let's see what this looks like. Okay, cool. I think instead of this, I want to do fill path. No. Let's look that up. How to fill circle. JavaScript. ctx.fill, I think. Let's see if that works. All right, so here we go. We have our blue circle. And the reason why it's blue is our fill style still applies to that. All right, cool. All right, so maybe let's see, what if we could do an RGB one instead? So we'll do 250 red, 250 green, 100 blue. Let's see what this looks like instead. Okay, it's like this weird yellow color. Cool. All right, so I think we're actually ready to create some craziness on our webpage. So in order to create some craziness, let's mix this idea of drawing these circles with our set interval idea. So what we're going to do is let's draw a random circle every second or so, or every half a second, and see how our page develops. So we'll grab set interval. What we're going to do is we're going to run this code every I want to grab all of this, cut it out, and then paste it here inside of the code block. So instead of running once, this is going to run every whatever time frame we set up here. So maybe every half a second, every 500 milliseconds. So here we go. If it's going to be a random circle, the things that need to change are going to be those colors as well as the X, Y, and R. So we want to randomly generate these things. So let's grab our randomness function. This goes at the very top of our page before we even select stuff. And what random things are we going to generate here? So let's let red equal a random color from 0 to 255, because that's going to be our red color here. And those color numbers always go from 0 to 255. We'll do the same thing for green and blue. We're also going to want to generate a random X and Y coordinate for the center of our circle. So let's let X equal a random number. And that random number is going to go from 0 to, what's the width of our canvas? 800. We're also going to generate a random Y number. So let's let Y equal the same thing, generate random from 0 to our height, which was 600. And let's let our radius also be a random number from radius is generate random. And this radius is 50, and I kind of like that. So let's do a radius from 10 to 80, so it's kind of in the same size range. Then we can finesse those numbers later. All right, so instead of always building the same arc, we want the center to be our random X number, which is X. We want the Y value to be our random Y value, and we want our radius to be the random R value. I'm going to keep it 0 to 2 pi, so that's whole circles here, but we can mess around with that in a second. And then our fill style is going to be, instead of RGB here, it's going to be RGB plus fill in the red, plus the comma string, plus fill in the green, because green is next, plus the comma string, plus, instead of 100 here, fill in the random blue number, plus end it with that string there. And that will set up our RGB set. Instead of having fixed numbers there, it's got red, green, and blue being plugged in with the plus signs on both sides. All right, so I think this should do it. Cool. This is developing a little slowly for me. So maybe instead of every half a second here, we could do every quarter second. That's cool. But maybe even faster would be better. Every 1/10 of a second. Cool. All right, this one I like. And I think you can kind of create some cool art using this. Of course, it's going to develop into chaos right now. So I'm just going to try to think about a couple more things that we could do here. So we can make those circles a little bit translucent.